Trigger warning, this episode mentions domestic abuse, choking, and violence, as well as sexual assault. By the way, George Clooney in an interview says, "This is truly, without exception, one of the worst experiences of my life." So, we're just gonna preface with that. There is a film director named David O. Russel. Do you know who that is?
Never heard of him.
He directed Silver Linings Playbook. He directed
I've seen that.
I Heart Huckabees, Amsterdam, which just came out in 2022, American Hustle, and he is known for being a huge douchebag. Like major douchebag. He's and abusive on set. Like he's honestly really one of the more terrible people still working in Hollywood. That, like, we know he does terrible things, right? A lot of people are super secret, but everybody knows how fucked up this dude is. Very toxic. Also, we're just gonna put it out there for full disclosure, his niece accused him of molesting her. He's still getting movies out there. He's very successful, but we're gonna get into the story of the movie Three Kings. This movie came out in 1999, and it stars...
A long time ago.
Yes, it stars George Clooney, Mark Wahlberg. The summary for it is, in the aftermath of the Persian Gulf War, 4 soldiers set out to steal gold that was stolen from Kuwait, but they discover people who desperately need their help. On this set in particular, he had already had a couple of incidences of just kind of getting loud and verbally abusive with the crew. Something happens. Somebody on the set doesn't want to do a stunt. They feel unsafe, and David O. Russell is berating them. There's different accounts on what happened exactly, so we're kind of piecing things together based off of a couple of different accounts. So we have to take this story with a grain of salt. According to George Clooney, Russell was abusive from the first day of filming. George Clooney had confronted him several times, and he asked him to, behave better. And he did this in a respectful way. He, really asked him, we can get our point across without talking certain ways, I get it. We get frustrated, XYZ. Like, he was trying to come at it diplomatically, yeah. After that, several days had passed, and George said David walked up to him, and him is the person who's refusing to do the stunt. David walked up to him and grabbed him. He pushed him onto the ground, kicked him, and screamed, quote, "Do you want to be in this fucking movie? Then throw him to the fucking ground." And what he was talking about was a stunt between this person who was refusing to do the stunt and George Clooney. And I guess he didn't want to hurt George Clooney. So this person wasn't even worried for their own safety. They're worried for the safety of the person they're working with. And this is a direct quote from George Clooney. George says he stepped in to defend this person. And this is what George says, quote, "He started banging me on the head with his head. He hit me, and then he goes, 'Hit me, you hit me.' Then he got me by the throat, and I went nuts. I had him by his throat. I was going to kill him. Kill him. Finally, he apologized, but I walked away."
He was headbutted repeatedly.
Yes. I mean, I feel like George Clooney was defending. First of all, he stepped in to defend the other person, the other actor, but then he had to physically defend himself. Because there's a producer that describes this incident, and he describes it as George Clooney and David getting into a physical fight with one another and getting into a tussle. And that's all it was. And it's like, that's not exactly what happened. David headbutted George Clooney in the fucking face. Like,
and had to and kept going.
Yes.
It was the choking.
Was he trying to kill George Clooney? Why would you grab somebody by the throat? Obviously, this is not a domestic abuse situation, but I wonder if it still applies in some ways. In domestic abuse specifically, if your partner chokes you in a violent way, you are 400 times more likely to be murdered by them.
Jesus Christ.
So if you are choked in a violent way by your partner, you need to figure out a plan and leave. But I need to look up that statistic to make sure it's right. Spider theory here. I'm editing, and I was double checking the stats on strangulation and murder. I wanted to correct myself. Choking in a domestic violence situation does not increase your chances of being murdered by 400%. Being choked by your partner in a domestic violence situation increases your chances of being murdered by 750%.
God, it's scary to be a woman. I guess it doesn't even have to be a woman. I mean, George Clooney was getting strangled.
Yeah, and I guess that's the point I'm getting at is, was that a threat of murder? Because our next, I mean, in a way it is, unless you're holding somebody and you're not choking them, but it said he was being choked.
Mm-hmm.
Like, you're restricting their airflow. I feel like that's more than just hitting someone. That's attempted murder. You're trying to make sure they can't breathe.
And your panic brain is going to take over at that point, so... Like, George Clooney is just like survival mode, you know?
Exactly.
When that happens.
82% of offenders who kill law enforcement have a strangulation history.
Jesus Christ.
Yeah, strangulation it's like a precursor to other things. It's like, we need to take, as a society, we need to take peeping toms so fucking seriously, and there needs to be interventions with peeping toms, because it's something like 90% or over 90% of rapists started out as peeping toms. It is a precursor to rape. And so we, in the same way that peeping is a sign that something more serious is going to happen down the road, strangulation needs to be taken just as seriously. And the fact that this man is strangling his co-workers and the people, they're not even co-workers. This man's a director. This man is in a place of authority, and he's strangling someone who works under him, who is working for him.
Yeah, toxic workplace environment. I think people don't talk enough about how the film industry is one of the most toxic industries, and that's what they're like, that's just showbiz, baby. And it's like, no, that is very...
And that's what's so unfortunate about all this, and it's still going on to this day. This man is still making movies. This Amsterdam movie, David O. Russel made Amsterdam. It came out in 2022. It did not do well. I think I heard it lost like $100 million. So hopefully they don't keep giving him stuff, because if you can't make money, then they won't keep letting you abuse people. But that's not all. And I think if you didn't get upset about this man before, you're about to lose your shit. So this happened in 99.
A prominent actor.
And he wasn't a small guy at the time. Like, by 99, George Clooney was someone. He was a big deal. And he couldn't even do anything about this, no repercussions. And so that's 99. 5 years later, he comes out with the movie I Heart Huckabees. This movie has Dustin Hoffman, Jason Schwartz, Mark Wahlberg again. Weird. I don't know why he keeps casting Mark Wahlberg in things. Lily Tomlin is in this movie. Queen, right? We love Lily Tomlin. There is a video you can see of David O. Russell berating Lily Tomlin on set. He calls her a fucking bitch. I think he might call her a cunt at some point.
3 fucking years, don't have some fucking cunt yelling at me.
And then he throws everything off of the desk that Lily Tomlin was sitting in front of, throws it off, and hits a PA with the stuff on the desk.
I'm trying to fucking help you. You understand me? I'm being a fucking collaborator. I was trying to help you figure out your fucking thing. Hey, bitch.
More physical abuse. So getting his ass beat by George Clooney didn't even help. He went on and fucking did this to Lily Tomlin and who knows who else. Someone said he was abusive to Amy Adams on the set of American Hustler. What happened to Margot Robbie on the set? What happened to Anya Taylor-Joy? Because it seems like women are particularly targeted, but men aren't safe either, because this man's not learning his lessons. Also, go to jail. Your niece accused you of a serious crime. Go to prison. This man is still working. Upcoming projects. On February 9th, 2023, it was announced that Keke Palmer and Sacha Baron Cohen will be working with him in a project called Super Toys. The film is a period piece set in the 70s. Awesome. Then also in an interview, I think a couple years after that, George Clooney said if he ever comes up to him again, he's gonna punch him in the fucking face. So... watch out, I guess.